In 1615, in a remote mountain dojo in feudal Japan, a master asked his student a question that would change everything. "Takeshi, if you face 10 enemies with your sword, how many can you kill?" The young samurai answered confidently, "All 10, master." The old master shook his head. "Wrong. You will kill none. Because the moment you think about killing 10, you have already lost to the first." This is the paradox every samurai had to solve. True victory comes not from action, but from presence. Not from technique, but from mind. Not from the sword in your hand, but from the silence in your soul. The samurai who understood this became legends. Those who didn't became corpses. And here's what nobody tells you. This principle isn't about fighting, it's about living. Right now, you're fighting 10 battles: work, relationships, health, purpose, and you're losing all of them for the same reason that samurai died on battlefields 400 years ago. You're everywhere except here. You're thinking about 10 enemies instead of facing the one in front of you. The question is, are you ready to learn what the samurai knew? Chapter 1. The Awakening. Takeshi's Shame. The year is 1615. Feudal Japan. The Tokugawa shogunate has unified the country after centuries of civil war. But in the mountains of Haida province, one dojo still trains warriors in the old way. Takeshi was 17 years old when shame found him. He'd been training in the dojo for 5 years. 5 years of sword practice, meditation, studying the classics. He could execute kata perfectly. His strikes were fast, precise, technically flawless. But he had a problem that no amount of practice could fix: fear. During sparring sessions with bokken wooden practice swords, Takeshi's mind would race. What if I get hit? What if I lose? What if the master sees my weakness? His body would tense. His breathing would become shallow. His perfect technique would crumble. The other students noticed. Whispers in the dojo. "Takeshi has good form but no spirit. He thinks too much. He'll never pass the test." The test, the final examination, that separated students from samurai. A real duel, with a real sword against a master. Not to the death, but to the moment where death becomes inevitable. Most students took this test at 18. Takeshi was already 17 and a half, and his master, Yamamoto-sensei, hadn't even mentioned it. One evening, after training, Takeshi approached his master. The old man sat in Caesar formal kneeling position in front of the dojo shrine, eyes closed in meditation. Takeshi knelt and waited. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15. Finally, Yamamoto-sensei opened his eyes. "Master," Takeshi said, voice trembling slightly, "when will I be ready for the test?" The master studied him. Those eyes had seen 100 battles, trained 1,000 students. They saw everything. "You are technically ready now," Yamamoto-sensei said. "But technically ready means nothing." "I don't understand, master." "Stand up, take your sword." Takeshi stood, gripped his bokken. "Now strike me." Takeshi raised his sword, but his hands shook. His master was unarmed, kneeling. This was the perfect opening. But something stopped him. I can't, master." "Why not?" "Because you're my master. It would be disrespectful." Yamamoto-sensei's face hardened. "Respect? No. You lie to yourself. The truth is you're afraid. Afraid of what happens after the strike. Afraid of my reaction. Afraid of failure. Your mind is in 10 places except the one that matters here, now, this moment." The words hit Takeshi like physical blows. Until you learn to be present, you will never be samurai. You will be a corpse with good technique. Go. Meditate on this. That night, Takeshi couldn't sleep. He sat in his small room, staring at the moonlight through the window. He'd dedicated 5 years to becoming samurai. 5 years of sacrifice, pain, discipline. And he was failing not because of his body, but because of his mind. He remembered the master's words, "Your mind is in 10 places." It was true. During every fight, Takeshi was thinking about the outcome, about looking good, about not failing, about everything except the actual moment of combat. As dawn broke, Takeshi made a decision. He would find the answer, whatever it took. Chapter 2. The Principle. Shoshin. Beginner's Mind. The next morning, Yamamoto-sensei announced, "Today, no sword practice. Today, we clean." The students groaned internally but showed nothing. Discipline. For the entire day, they swept the dojo, washed the floors, cleaned the weapons, organized the shrine. Manual labor. Mindless work. Or so Takeshi thought. He swept the same wooden floor he'd swept hundreds of times before. His mind wandered. This is pointless. I should be training. The test is coming. I need to improve my technique, not waste time cleaning. Then he noticed something. The master was sweeping too, but he swept differently. Each stroke of the broom was deliberate, focused, complete. When he swept left, he was fully sweeping left. When he swept right, he was fully sweeping right. There was a quality to his movement, a presence that transformed the mundane task into something almost sacred. Takeshi watched, transfixed. After the cleaning ended, the master called him over. "What did you learn today, Takeshi?" Takeshi hesitated. "That? The dojo must be kept clean?" Yamamoto-sensei smiled. "Wrong. Come with me." They walked to a small meditation hall behind the main dojo. Inside, a single scroll hung on the wall. 2 characters in elegant calligraphy. "Chusin Shoshin," the master said. "Beginner's mind. Do you know what this means?" 2. Approach everything like a beginner. Deeper. When a beginner picks up a sword for the first time, what is in his mind? Takeshi thought. Curiosity? Focus on learning? Yes. And what else? Nothing else. Just the sword. Just that moment. Exactly. The beginner's mind is empty of expectation, empty of fear, empty of everywhere except here. The beginner doesn't think about being the best swordsman. He thinks only about this grip, this stance, this swing. The master sat in seiza. Takeshi followed. "Now tell me, Takeshi, when you sweep the floor, where is your mind?" Takeshi felt shame rise. Everywhere else, thinking about training, about the test, about the future. And when you fight with Bokken, the same. Thinking about outcomes, about looking good, about not failing. So you are never actually present for anything. You sweep while thinking about swords. You practice swords while thinking about tests. You are always one step away from reality. This is why you fail. The master's words were gentle but devastating. The samurai's greatest weapon is not the katana. It is presence. Zanshin, remaining awareness. Fudoshin, immovable mind. Heijoshin, ordinary mind. All of these point to the same truth. Be here, now, completely. He gestured to the scroll. Shoshin is the foundation. Empty your mind of 10,000 thoughts. Face only what is in front of you. Takeshi stared at the characters. Chusin, beginner's mind. "Master, how do I practice this?" Yamamoto-sensei stood. "Starting tomorrow, you will train differently. Every task you do, eating, walking, sweeping, sword practice, you will do with complete attention. When you eat, you eat. When you walk, you walk. When you swing your sword, there is only the sword. Nothing else exists. For how long? Until you understand. Maybe 1 month, maybe 1 year, maybe never. It depends on you." That night, Takeshi began. He sat for meditation, but instead of trying to achieve anything, he simply sat, breathing, present. Thoughts arose. Am I doing this right? Is this working? What if I fail? Each time, he acknowledged the thought and returned to his breath. Here, now, this moment only. It was the hardest thing he'd ever done. If you're beginning to understand how presence could transform your life, the way it transformed Takeshi's, join the Presence and Purpose community. Subscribe and walk this path with us as we explore the ancient warrior wisdom that builds modern mastery. Chapter 3. The Test. 30 Days of Presence. The first week was torture. Takeshi's mind rebelled against presence. Every activity felt agonizingly slow. Eating breakfast became an eternity. Walking to the training hall felt like wading through mud. His mind screamed, "This is pointless. You're wasting time. Everyone else is getting better while you're just being present." But he continued, because the master had given him a path, and Takeshi would follow it to the end. Week 2 brought a shift. During morning meditation, Takeshi experienced something strange. For just a few seconds, the constant chatter in his mind stopped. Not because he forced it, it just stopped. In that gap of silence, he heard the wind in the trees outside, the creaking of the wooden building, his own heartbeat. It felt like waking up from a dream, like he'd been asleep his entire life and suddenly opened his eyes for the first time. The moment passed. The mental chatter returned. But now Takeshi knew. Silence was possible. Presence was real. He intensified his practice. When sweeping, he became sweeping. The movement of the broom, the sound of bristles on wood, the sensation in his arms that was his entire universe. When eating, he tasted every grain of rice, chewed slowly, experienced the simple act of nourishment. When walking, each step was complete, heel to toe, weight shifting, balance adjusting. The other students thought he'd gone mad. Takeshi walks like an old man now. He eats like a monk. Has he given up on becoming samurai? But the master watched, said nothing, waited. Week 3 brought the real test. Sparring session. Takeshi faced another student, a talented fighter named Kenji who had already passed his final examination. They both held bokken. Old Takeshi would have been thinking, Kenji is better than me. What if I lose in front of everyone? I need to impress the master. New Takeshi simply stood, present, aware. Kenji attacked, a fast overhead strike, and something miraculous happened. Takeshi's body moved without thinking. He sidestepped, deflected, and countered all in one fluid motion. No thought, no hesitation, pure response. Kenji stumbled back, shocked. They reset, fought again. This time, Takeshi wasn't fighting Kenji. He was simply present with the moment. When Kenji moved, Takeshi responded, not from technique stored in memory, but from immediate awareness. It was like the fight was moving through him, not by him. The match ended. Kenji bowed deeply. That was different. You've changed. Takeshi bowed back, saying nothing. But inside, understanding was dawning. Presence wasn't just a meditation practice, it was the source of all warrior power. When you're fully present, you don't react from fear or thought, you respond from awareness. And awareness is always faster, always more appropriate, always more powerful than thinking. That evening, the master called him over. Tomorrow, Yamamoto-sensei said, you will face your final test. Takeshi felt fear rise, then let it pass. Here, now, only this moment. Yes, master, I'm ready. For the first time in 5 years, it was true. Chapter 4, Warrior Psychology, the Science of Presence. Before we continue Takeshi's story, let's understand what was actually happening in his brain. Modern neuroscience has discovered something the samurai knew 400 years ago. Presence is a trainable skill that physically changes your brain structure. When Takeshi practiced being present, he was deactivating his default mode network, the DMN. This is the brain network responsible for mind-wandering, self-referential thinking, and anxiety about past and future. Every time he brought his attention back to the present moment, he was strengthening his prefrontal cortex, the region controlling attention, emotional regulation, and executive function. This isn't mysticism. This is measurable brain change. Studies on meditation practitioners show increased gray matter density in areas controlling attention and decreased activity in areas controlling fear response and anxiety. The samurai didn't have MRI machines, but they understood the principle perfectly. Miyamoto Musashi, the greatest swordsman in Japanese history, wrote in the Book of Five Rings, "In strategy, it is important to see distant things as if they were close and to take a distanced view of close things." This is presence. The ability to be here while maintaining perspective, the ability to face immediate danger without losing composure. Takuan Soho, the Zen master who advised many samurai, explained it this way: the mind must always be in the state of flowing, for when it stops anywhere, that means the flow is interrupted, and it is this interruption that is injurious to the well-being of the mind. Modern psychology calls this flow state. The samurai called it Mushin no mind. But there's a deeper layer. When Takeshi fought Kenji while fully present, His amygdala, the brain's fear center, had less control over his responses. His body accessed trained movements without the interference of conscious thought. This is what the samurai meant by, no mind doesn't mean having no thoughts. It means thoughts don't control you. The Hagakure, a practical guide to samurai behavior, states, meditation on inevitable death should be performed daily. Every day when one's body and mind are at peace, one should meditate upon being ripped apart by arrows, rifles, spears, and swords. This sounds morbid, but it's brilliant psychology. By fully accepting death, the ultimate fear, the samurai freed themselves from fear's paralysis. They understood, you cannot control outcomes, you can only control presence. When you're fully present, fear doesn't disappear, but it no longer controls you. You feel it, acknowledge it, and act anyway. This is Fudoshin, the immovable mind, not unmoved by emotion, unmoved by the need to react to emotion. Takeshi had discovered this, not through reading about it, but through living it. Through 30 days of choosing presence over distraction, awareness over thought, being over becoming. Now he would face the ultimate test. If this journey into feudal Japan is resonating with you, if you're ready to learn the samurai practices that create unshakable presence, subscribe to this channel. We're building a community of warriors who choose awareness over distraction, presence over performance. Chapter 5. The First Transformation. The Final Examination. Dawn. The dojo courtyard. Takeshi stood in hakama and gi, wooden sword in hand. Across from him, Yamamoto-sensei, holding a real katana. Yes, a real sword. Sharpened steel. This was the tradition. The student uses wood, the master uses steel. The difference in weapons equals the difference in skill. If the master wanted, one strike would end Takeshi's life. Around the courtyard, other students and masters from neighboring dojos watched. This was formal. Official. There would be witnesses to either Takeshi's success or his failure. Yamamoto-sensei spoke, voice carrying across the silent courtyard. Takeshi has trained for 5 years. Today he faces the test. Not to defeat me, that is impossible, but to show warrior spirit, to demonstrate presence under pressure, to prove he is samurai. The old master settled into kamae fighting stance. The katana gleamed in the morning sun. Takeshi's heart pounded. His hands wanted to prove, shake. Old Takeshi would have been drowning in thoughts right now. What if I fail? What if I embarrass myself? What if I die? What if... But new Takeshi took a breath, felt his feet on the ground, heard the wind in the bamboo, saw his master's stance. Here, now, only this. The master moved. Not a full attack, a testing strike. Fast, controlled, aimed at Takeshi's shoulder. Takeshi's body responded. No thought, no plan, just presence. He sidestepped. The katana whispered past his ear. He countered with bokken, not trying to hit, just responding to the opening. The master deflected. Reset. They circled. Another attack. Faster this time. A combination, high strike, low sweep. Takeshi flowed, body moving before mind could interfere. Block, dodge, counter. The katana never touched him. Around the courtyard, murmurs. This was unusual. Most students spent the entire test defending desperately. Takeshi was responding, adapting, present. The master increased intensity. Real speed now. The kind of speed that kills in actual combat. And here's what happened. Takeshi stopped trying to win. Stopped trying to impress. Stopped trying at all. He simply was, present with each moment. Each movement. Each breath. The fight became a dance. The master would strike. Takeshi would respond. Not from technique, but from immediate awareness. Zanshin remaining awareness. Even after blocking, Takeshi stayed alert. Even after countering, he was ready for the next moment. 3 minutes passed. In combat, an eternity. Then the master did something unexpected. He created an opening, a clear, obvious gap in his defense. Most students would attack immediately, desperate to score a point. Takeshi saw it, recognized it, didn't take it. Because presence revealed the truth. It was a trap, an invitation to overcommit. He waited. The master saw. Understanding passed between them. Then Yamamoto-sensei lowered his katana, stepped back, bowed deeply. Enough. You have passed. Silence. Then, applause. From the watching masters. Takeshi bowed, trembling now that the test was over. Not from fear, from the release of intensity. Later, in private, the master explained. Takeshi, 5 years ago you came here wanting to be the best swordsman. Today you became something better. You became present. The sword is just a tool. Presence is the weapon. When you didn't take that opening, you showed wisdom. The young warrior tries to win every exchange. The true warrior knows some victories are defeats in disguise. Takeshi listened, but something was stirring inside him. A question. Master, I've passed the test. I'm officially samurai now. But I feel like this is just the beginning, not the end. Yamamoto-sensei smiled. Yes, this is the first transformation. From student to samurai. But there is a second transformation. From samurai to master. And for that, you must leave this dojo. Takeshi's eyes widened. Leave? Yes. I am sending you to the temple on Mount Koya. There, you will train with the monks for 1 year. Not in swordsmanship, in pure presence, in Zen meditation. Because the next level of mastery isn't about fighting better. It's about transcending the need to fight at all. Takeshi thought he'd learned presence, but in the mountains, with the Zen monks, he would discover that what he'd learned was just the shadow of true awareness. The real training was about to begin. Chapter 6. Deep Training Arc. 1 year on Mount Koya. Mount Koya, sacred mountain, home to one of Japan's oldest Zen monasteries. Takeshi arrived with his swords, his warrior's pride, his samurai title. The head monk, Master Ikkyu, looked at him with eyes that had witnessed 60 years of meditation. Leave your swords at the gate. You won't need them here. But Master, I am samurai. Here, you are nothing. Here, you are beginner. Here, you learn to sit. And so began the hardest year of Takeshi's life. No sword practice, no combat training, nothing he associated with being warrior. Instead, sitting meditation. Hours upon hours of zazen. Sitting, just sitting, watching the mind, being present. The first month was psychological warfare. Takeshi's mind screamed, "This is pointless. You're a trained samurai. You should be perfecting your technique, not sitting like a statue." His legs cramped, his back ached. His mind raced with thoughts, plans, memories, anxieties. Master Ikkyu would walk between the meditating students, carrying a wooden stick. When he saw someone's mind had wandered visible through posture, breathing, subtle movements, he would strike their shoulder. Not hard, just enough to snap attention back. Takeshi got struck a lot, but he persisted, because somewhere deep inside, he understood. The master at the dojo had sent him here for a reason. Month 2 brought a breakthrough. During one meditation session, Takeshi's mind was particularly chaotic. Thoughts everywhere. Anxiety about wasting time. Frustration with lack of progress. Then Master Ikkyu rang a bell. Time for walking meditation. The student stood, began walking in a slow circle around the meditation hall. 1 step per breath, heel to toe. Complete awareness. And in that moment, something clicked. Takeshi realized, presence isn't about stopping thoughts. It's about not being controlled by them. Thoughts would always come. The question was, do you chase them, or do you let them pass like clouds? He began watching his thoughts without engaging. Oh, there's anxiety about my training. Interesting. It's just a thought. And he'd return to his breath, to the sensation of walking, to here, now. The thoughts didn't stop, but they lost their power. Month 3 through 6, deepening. The monastery routine became his world. Wake at 4 a.m. Meditation. Simple breakfast in silence. Work meditation, chopping wood, hauling water, tending gardens. More meditation. Study of sutras. Evening meditation. Sleep. Every activity was practice in presence. When chopping wood, be completely with the axe, the wood, the movement. When eating, taste every grain of rice. When reading sutras, absorb each character. Takeshi discovered layers of presence he'd never imagined. There was surface presence, paying attention to the task. Then deeper presence, feeling the space between thoughts. Then even deeper, recognizing the awareness that's always there, beneath all thoughts and feelings. The Zen masters called this original mind, or Buddha nature. The unchanging awareness that witnesses everything but is never disturbed by anything. Month 7 brought the second test. Master Ikkyu called Takeshi to his quarters. "You've been here 6 months. You've learned to sit, to be present in stillness. Now you must learn presence in chaos." He handed Takeshi a letter. "There's a village 3 days' walk from here. Bandits have been terrorizing them. The village headman has requested help. You will go alone, handle this situation, then return." Takeshi felt old patterns activate. The samurai mind. Finally, a chance to use my skills. I'll show them what a trained warrior can do. But underneath that, new awareness. The ego wanting to prove itself. "Interesting." He bowed. "Yes, master." As he prepared to leave, Master Ikkyu added, "Remember, Takeshi, the goal is not to defeat bandits. The goal is to maintain presence. Whatever happens, stay here, now. That is your real test." Takeshi walked for 3 days through mountain paths. Each step, a meditation. Each breath, a return to presence. He arrived at the village at sunset. Chapter 7, the final confrontation, the bandit leader. The village was small, maybe 30 families. They lived in fear. The headman explained. "A group of Ronin masterless samurai have been taking our food, our money. We're farmers, not warriors. We can't fight them." "How many?" Takeshi asked. 5, led by a man named Katsuro. He was once a respected samurai, but after his lord was killed, he turned to banditry. That night, Takeshi sat in meditation. Tomorrow, he would face the bandits, 5 trained warriors against 1. Old Takeshi would be terrified, planning strategy, worrying about death. New Takeshi sat with whatever arose. Fear came. He acknowledged it. Yes, fear is present. That's natural. But he didn't let it control him. He remembered his training. Presence. Here. Now. The outcome doesn't matter. Only this moment matters. Dawn. The bandits arrived. 5 men, rough and dangerous. Led by Katsuro, a tall man with scars and hard eyes, Takeshi walked out to meet them, unarmed. The bandits laughed. The village hired a bodyguard? 1 samurai? Boy, go home before you get hurt. Takeshi stood in perfect presence, grounded, aware. Still, Katsuro stopped laughing. Something in Takeshi's stillness made him uneasy. "You're different from the usual village defenders. Who trained you?" "Yamamoto-sensei." "And Master Ikkyu?" Katsuro's eyes widened slightly. He recognized those names. Masters of masters. "So you think you can stop us?" Takeshi smiled gently. "I'm not here to stop you. I'm here to speak with you." As one samurai to another. This confused the bandits. Where was the challenge? The bravado? The threat? Takeshi continued, voice calm and present. "Katsuro-san, you were once a respected warrior. You served with honor. What happened to bring you to this?" For a moment, something flickered in the bandit leader's eyes. Pain. Loss. "My lord was killed. My honor died with him. This," he gestured to the village, "this is all that's left." "No," Takeshi said. "Your honor isn't gone. It's just sleeping. Beneath the pain, beneath the anger. It's still there." The other bandits shifted uncomfortably. This wasn't how these confrontations usually went. Takeshi stepped closer, completely undefended, completely present. "I know the Bushido code requires you to serve a lord, but what if there's a higher lord than any daimyo? What if you could serve something that can never be killed, never be taken away?" "And what is that?" Katsuro asked, hand on his sword but not drawing. "Presence, awareness, the part of you that remains when everything else is gone. Master Ikkyu taught me. You can lose your lord, your lands, your life, but you cannot lose your true nature." Silence hung in the morning air. Katsuro stared at this strange young samurai who faced 5 armed men with nothing but words and presence. You're either very brave or very foolish. Perhaps both. Takeshi smiled. But I'm also very present, and in this moment, I'm offering you a choice. Continue this path of fear and violence, or remember who you truly are. One of the other bandits sneered. Katsuro, why are we listening to this? Let me cut him down. He drew his sword, rushed forward, and Takeshi didn't move. Completely still, completely present. No fear, no aggression, just awareness. The bandit's sword stopped an inch from Takeshi's throat. He couldn't do it. Something in Takeshi's presence, the absolute absence of fear or resistance, made violence impossible. The bandit stumbled back, confused. Katsuro watched all this. Then he did something unexpected. He knelt, bowed his head. Forgive me. I forgot. I forgot what it means to be samurai. The other bandits looked at their leader in shock. Katsuro stood. We're leaving, and we won't return. He looked at Takeshi. Where is this Master Ikkyu? Mount Koya. Perhaps I'll visit him, if he'll accept a broken man. Takeshi bowed. There are no broken men, only men who've forgotten their wholeness. The bandits left. The village was safe, not through violence, through presence. Takeshi returned to Mount Koya. Master Ikkyu was waiting. Tell me what happened. Takeshi recounted the story. The master listened, nodding. And what did you learn? Takeshi paused, then understanding flooded through him. I learned that presence is the ultimate weapon, not because it defeats enemies, but because it transforms them. When you're fully present, completely grounded in awareness, you become a mirror. And people see themselves reflected back. Katsuro saw his true nature in my stillness. The bandit who attacked me saw the futility of violence in my lack of resistance. Presence doesn't fight. It doesn't need to. It simply is. And that isness is more powerful than any sword. Master Ikkyu smiled. Yes, this is the secret the greatest warriors discover. The ultimate victory is not defeating others. It's transcending the need for conflict altogether. Miyamoto Musashi won 60 duels. But at the end of his life, what did he write? Step by step, walk the 1,000-mile road. He wasn't talking about defeating 1,000 enemies. He was talking about presence in each step. The beginner samurai thinks, how can I win this fight? The advanced samurai thinks, how can I be present in this fight? The master samurai realizes, when you're truly present, there is no fight. This is the final teaching. Shoshin beginner's mind isn't just about learning. It's about seeing every moment, fresh, new, complete in itself. Zanshin remaining awareness isn't just about staying alert after combat. It's about understanding that life is combat, and you must remain aware always. Fudoshin immovable mind isn't about being cold or unfeeling. It's about being so rooted in presence that nothing external can shake your internal peace. You've learned these principles through your sword, but now you understand they apply to everything. Every conversation, every meal, every breath. This is what it means to be truly samurai. Not a warrior who kills, but a warrior who brings life through presence. Takeshi bowed deeply. Thank you, Master, for everything. Your training here is complete. Where will you go now? Takeshi had been thinking about this. Back to Yamamoto-sensei's dojo. Not as a student, as a teacher, to pass on what I've learned. Good. The circle completes. Student becomes master. Master becomes student. This is the way. The samurai lesson 10 years later. Takeshi runs the dojo now. Yamamoto-sensei retired to a quiet hermitage. A new student arrives. Young, eager, technically gifted but anxious. Reminds Takeshi of himself. Master Takeshi, I want to become the greatest swordsman in Japan. Takeshi smiles. He's heard this before. He said it himself once. Come, sit with me. They sit in Caesar, before the shrine. The same shrine where Yamamoto-sensei taught Takeshi about Shoshin all those years ago. Do you see this scroll? Takeshi points to the characters. Chusin. Yes, master. What does it say? Shoshin. Beginner's mind. And what does that mean to you? The young student thinks. 2. Approach training with humility. Yes, and more. It means to be present for this moment. Not the moment when you're the greatest swordsman. This moment. Here. Now. Because I'll tell you a secret. There is no moment when you become the greatest. There is only this moment, and the next, and the next. If you can be fully present for each one, you'll discover something the greatest swordsmen know. The sword is just a tool. Presence is the weapon. And presence doesn't make you the greatest warrior. It makes you free. The young student looks confused, exactly as Takeshi once did. I don't understand, master. You will, with time and practice. Now, before we begin sword training, we'll start with something else. What's that? Takeshi hands him a broom. Sweeping. And when you sweep, just sweep. Be completely present with the broom, the floor, the movement. Can you do that? The student looks disappointed but nods. Yes, master. Takeshi watches him begin, sees the mind wandering, the impatience, the desire to be doing something important. He sees himself 10 years ago, and he smiles. The cycle continues. The teaching passes on, not through lectures, through presence, through example, through the 1,000 small moments of being completely here, now. This is the way of the samurai. Not violence, presence, not domination, awareness, not achieving, being. The path of the samurai isn't about the sword, it's about presence, about being fully here, fully alive, fully aware in each moment. If you're ready to begin this journey, to train in the ancient practices that create modern warriors, join us. Subscribe. Train. Transform. Walk with presence. Live with purpose. Become unshakable. See you in the next lesson, warrior.